man. First and foremost, I want to say call halal Yahweh Ba'Shem Mashiach Yahweh Shai, man. And I got a question for y'all. Job, the righteous Edomite king, right? That sentence just sounded so wild. It's coming out of my mouth now. But now that I said it, I was like, dang, that just sounds horrible. But Lord will never. But like I said, man, first of all, let's call hello Yahweh Ba'Shem Mashiach Yahweh Shai, man. Why to everybody for showing up? It's the chief apostle of Messiah, Yah Yadai, and I'm here with my esteemed fellow, Kasap, right? Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, it's your brother Kasap, man. Shalom to everybody in the chat. Appreciate y'all for tapping in and press that like button, man, when y'all come in the door.
Yeah, do that. Press that like button. See, in the spirit, I was just about to say that. Press that like button if you love God. Batista bomb that like button. Do the same thing with the comment button. Leave a comment, hate on us. Oh, Job can be saved. The Edomites can be saved. Gentile salvation. If that's what you want, leave a comment. I've been dealing with it for the last 3 days. I've been uploading more content on IG and more shorts. More to come. What else? Hit that share button. Get this out. Get this word out to all the Israelites we possibly can throughout all the earth, because that's when the end will come, right? And if it be upon your heart, you can send a super chat or super thanks depending on when you watch this video. Also, if you want to support us directly, we got the PayPal link in the chat for people outside of the United States, and the link for the Cash App if you want to support us directly without having to go through Esau's mechanisms. Also, if you would like to join the channel, anybody, if any tier joining the channel has access to the Rebellion channel we have when we do our Bible studies, which also we're starting our Torah study. We're going to be talking all about the Torah for a minute. There's so much to talk about in the Torah. There's so many things to understand. Just so many misconceptions to clean up from people. Like, there's 613 commandments. There's not 613 commandments. That comes from Jewish people. That's not we counted these and we came to that conclusion. That's Jewish people saying things, right? So that has to get cleared up. What else are we going? But either way, we're going through the Torah, right? That's going to be the first thing we're going to be doing. What's up, Mike?
I was just saying, right, yeah.
Good. Also, a bit of good news. Amazon wasn't tripping today, so I got my holographic ESV Bible that I'm going to be using. I'm going to be putting it out in the field. Man, I can't wait to use this thing, bro. Look at this. Look at this, bro. It's got room for precepts. What's that movie with what's that movie?
Room for activities. You talking
about room for activities. We got room for activities. Yeah, Step Brothers, man. I can't wait to put that thing to use, man. But yeah, we're gonna be talking about. I'm gonna say this one more time, then we're gonna navigate. So, 3 things I want to talk about today. So we're gonna talk about Job, the righteous Edomite king, quote unquote. I guess y'all can see which way I'm leaning on that one before we even get there. We're gonna go over the evidence of people claiming that Job was an Edomite. Now, I heard this 10 years ago when I first came into truth and never looked into it because it sounds stupid. Then I also heard it again by Christians here recently, and especially one that I've debated. If you have seen the video with me with the studied apologist who I met at the apologetics convention, we had another debate. It's 2 hours long. We talk about a whole bunch of different things, right? But he was the one that gave me more information about this. I was like, oh, let me look into this. And when I looked into it, it's kind of suspect. Also, second thing, and this is going to be in between the 2 things, there's a conspiracy that I want to talk about too, about this whole Edomite thing, about Job being an Edomite king. There's a conspiracy that I want to talk about, and I'm not gonna just say emphatically which way I lean, but I want y'all to just see it, and I want y'all to just see if y'all are coming to the same conclusion I'm coming to, right? And the third thing is what we're gonna start off with, right? So I really hope y'all are paying attention to the news. There's so many things geopolitically that's going on that's absolutely crazy. And Iran today is spitting. They are spitting. And this is really kind of this right here is going to be a death sentence to Donald Trump's presidency. Like, what little respect he has with MAGA, that's about to go away. Because what Iran said today, Iran said they're closing the strait until 2029, until Trump is out of the office. I need y'all to understand something. We don't have that amount of time when it comes to the strategic oil reserves. You know, when those run out, you get an economic collapse, which we have never seen before since the Great Depression. If people are saying, economists are saying it's going to be worse than the Great Depression. That's what Iran is essentially, they're calling their shot. They're calling their shot. They know Trump's out of ammunition, so he's either going to have to capitulate to Iran or he can continue to do this and destroy America or the world. And if Trump's such a narcissist, I think he plans on taking the world out with him because he knows he doesn't have that much time, right? So I want to show y'all some clips because these 3 clips is crazy, especially the first one and the last one. The middle one's kind of just seeing the morale of the army. But I want y'all to see this. I want y'all to see this, bro. Watch this.
All right, y'all, I got to give you some Iran war updates, and this stuff is catastrophically bad. I mean, this is like, it's amazing. This is not getting more coverage. So let me start with this right here. Hormuz letter says, breaking, Iran declares the Strait of Hormuz will stay closed until 2029, the end of Trump's term, unless Trump accepts all of Iran's demands, per a senior Iranian source and Majid Chakeri, advisor to Parliament Speaker Ghalibaf. Iran's demands in the U.S. surrender document remain unchanged. So it's $300 billion in compensation. That's like reparations for the attack. The release of up to $100 billion in frozen assets, lifting all sanctions, U.S. troop withdrawal from the entire region, including the military bases surrounding Iran, an end to the naval blockade, and accepting transit fees on every ship. So in other words,
that right there is an ass whooping we've never seen. When we ever seen somebody get their ass whooped so bad to where they have to pay $3 billion in reparations, $100 billion in frozen assets, basically another $100 billion, lifting all sanctions that America uses on Iran to remain the hegemon in their region and ours, right? And the United States troop withdrawal out of the entire, you have to leave the Middle East and in the naval blockade, but that ain't really like, who cares about that really? And have to pay transit fees, so you gotta check in with Iran. That's how you know you've won. You said you got something you want to say? Something?
Nah, I was saying he ain't gonna do it, man.
He not gonna do it because you can't. How can you afford that politically?
But like, then too,
go ahead.
So like you had to think about it then too, because recently they just voted to merge the military with the small hat. So if they say it's a no-go, then chances are they were already pulling the strings. So I don't see it happening. Y'all better put your seatbelts on.
You put them on.
Really?
Now is that before we was like, okay, you know, it's looking bad, but we be bouncing back sometimes. You know how it goes, Casala. We think we close and then we bounce back. This is nuts.
Yeah.
Now we've introduced a whole nother timeline, right? Oh yeah. Look. It's my brother right here, man. It's my brother right here. Let me do it. I don't know why y'all just let me do it. Y'all just let me just go ahead and go. So fair use for the purposes such as criticism, commenting, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. All things we're doing here. This is nuts. This is a very short amount. Bro, America doesn't have the ability to wait this out. As a matter of fact, he's going to go into it. Let's continue with this.
We're giving up total control of the Strait of Hormuz to Iran for them to charge fees or taxes or tolls or whatever for all the ships to go through. Does this look like Trump has it under control? Does this look like he's really close to a deal? Does this look like it's going to go his way? No, this is like they're fed up with you. They know you're full of shit. They know you can't abide by an agreement and you'll go back on your word instantly. And so now they've just said, enough of the bullshit. We're waiting until the next administration gets in there and then we'll negotiate with them, perhaps. But you, not going to happen. Not going to fucking happen. So he really, really shot himself in his tiny little mushroom cock. He really did. He's in trouble here, dog. He's in trouble. He knows it. He knows deep down that he's sort of cooked here. Okay. Trump absolutely crashed out over on Lie Social, over Iran driving a hard bargain and basically saying, like, we don't trust you. We don't want to work with you. And so he came out and said the following, ready? I see that representatives of the Islamic Republic of Iran are asking for compensation for the damage done to them during the last 5 months military conflict. Started because they will not have a nuclear weapon, even though it was never mentioned in any of our negotiations or meetings. But it is an interesting idea because now I am likewise demanding compensation from Iran. Oh, my days.
The hubris of the white man is It's unmatched, bro. So how you want reparations for you bombing, for you triple tapping a children's school on the first day of the war? This is how you start the war. You triple tap with missiles, with Patriot missiles. A little girls' school, and the little girls who went to the school were children of the IRGC. So y'all know y'all did this as a terrorist attack. Y'all know y'all did that. But how do you want reparations? Reparations? Like, this is what I mean. Like this time is one of the craziest times we've ever lived in.
Yeah.
Easily, bro. You want reparations for killing their version of their pope? You want reparations? This guy, bro. This guy.
For all the people that they have killed and gravely wounded with their roadside bombs.
Hey, if you got a preset, let me know.
I got you.
And everybody, shalom in the chat. Like, and we gonna get to the lesson, but y'all need to see this, because this right here, number one, it's crazy, but number two, Iran talking this shit. They're literally saying you're going to capitulate to us, give us $400 billion in reparations for the war. We're gonna close the Strait down until 2029 on y'all. Unless you do it, you have to get out of the Middle East, and you got to come check in with us when you want a ship to go through there. Trump can't afford that politically. That's why he's acting like a dumbass on Truth Social right now. This is crazy.
And many conflicts for which they are famous, as led initially by General Soleimani, including the families of those killed in the USS Cole and thousands of others killed in combat. Additionally, compensation.
But why are they killed in combat, Trump? You wouldn't have to worry about having them killed in combat if you wouldn't started the war for no reason anyway. I mean, my bad. For Epstein anyway.
Yeah.
To be paid to the families of the hundreds of thousands of innocent protesters that Iran has killed over the last 50 years, not to mention the 52,000 that have been killed in the last 5 months. Totally made up number, by the way. I have instructed my representative to put this firmly into any and all future negotiations. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Yeah, you're really helping your case here, Don. You're really helping your case here. You're not making it worse for yourself. You're not digging your hole deeper. You're not, potentially signing up the world economy to be absolutely obliterated. By the way, this is not how it works. You don't get to wage an illegal and offensive war against a country that didn't attack us and then go, and now you got to pay me for it. What? Excuse me, was it Iran that bombed a little girls' school that we have here in the U.S.? Is that what happened? Oh, that's not what happened. Is it Iran that bombed U.S. roads and bridges? Is it Iran that bombed U.S. civilian infrastructure? Is that what happened? That's not what happened. Is it Iran that has their military bases surrounding the entire United States? No, that's not. We have our bases surrounding them. Don't fucking spare me with this shit. God damn it, I hate him so much. He's such an impulsive little brat. He's such like a toddler-like little weasel. And he thinks he can like tantrum his way out of any problem. No, again, you're just digging your hole deeper, you dipshit. God, I hate him so much. He's so unserious. And you know this was him like sitting on the toilet at 4 a.m. just firing some shit out because he was angry at the state of the war. Again, only making it worse for himself. So if you're not going to agree to all of their demands, then go to shut the fuck upsville and sit there as you're casually responsible for the collapse of the global economy. All right. Iran has new intelligence warning of a major U.S.-Israeli ground and air operation against Iran, citing a rapid military buildup across Gulf bases per senior Iranian officials. Mohammed Marandi, the professor and advisor to Iran's negotiation team, adds Trump regime forces in Kuwait, the UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and Jordan are mobilizing for potential blitzkrieg, possibly alongside Zionist forces against the Iranian people, warning the Islamic Republic stands ready with a swift and crushing response. Iran.
This nigga's trying to D-Day, bro. You ever play Call of Duty WW2, like World War II?
I probably did briefly, bro.
Any of the ones where they had D-Day, where like you see everybody they're storming the beach of Normandy and just everybody's dying. Yeah, that's what they're about to see here.
That pretty much happened, bro. Iran cannot be touched from land, sea, or air. It is no way possible they could just send people over there and everything will be all good. He basically sending them as a sacrifice. They getting killed. And no ifs, and buts about it. Yeah. For real, they got to feed the machine.
Stuff, bro. And what I personally think, this is Yachty headcanon, right? This is what I personally think. I think he's gonna send these people into the meat grinder for justification to drop that bomb, bro.
Yeah.
That's what I personally think. This is crazy. This guy's look, man. Let's continue. Look.
Iran has previously warned of a major counter response to a U.S. ground attack, saying if the United States puts boots on the ground in Iran, we will also launch ground attacks on Kuwait and Bahrain. Iranian analyst Mahdi Khanalzadeh also warned that Iran has plans of a ground incursion to seize U.S. bases such as Camp Buring, Camp Arifjan, or Ali al-Salem. Jesus Christ. The other thing they could do is, if there's a ground invasion, they could immediately launch on all of like the oil infrastructure in the Gulf countries. They could immediately go after the water that they have there, just to say, like, look, you crossed a red line, and now there's no going back. If it's existential to our government's survival, then we will also make it existential for the other governments in the region for their survival. And so, not good. And perhaps this is why Trump is talking reckless. Perhaps he's talking reckless because he has some hope that, you know, some desperate ground invasion is going to save the day.
And I think that too. I think the reason why he's running his mouth is because all he's got, well, his trump card, right? His trump card, ironically enough, would be a ground invasion. And what makes you think you can do a ground invasion when you don't have missiles to have air superiority? They already have drones. Go ahead.
Recently, you seen where the aircraft carriers got ran off out of the region because they didn't want them to be destroyed. That pretty much be the end of them having the ability to have air invasions. Like you look at the different military installations in their region or different NATO countries, they kind of off and on whether or not they want to allow them to use their land to carry out attacks. But yeah, bro, it is slim to none they have a chance to drop troops out there unless they dropping them out the sky.
Yeah, and imagine that with drones in the air.
Good luck.
Good luck, bro. I feel sorry for anybody in the army right now. This guy is about to send you into a meat grinder, bro. This is absolutely mad.
That is absolutely terrifying that we're even having this conversation at this point. Now, why is all of this so pressing and such an important issue? Well, because of this. U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve crude oil inventories have officially fallen below 300 million barrels for the first time since 1983. A 43-year low, with inventories declining another 6.1 million barrels last week to 298.7 million barrels. At the current drawdown rate, the SPR, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, will hit the congressional minimum of 252.4 million barrels in 8 weeks or less, with 46.3 million barrels remaining to go. Iran declared it will wait out the Trump administration until January 20th, 2029, but Iran likely doesn't need to wait that long, with the U.S. SPR running out in weeks, forcing Trump's hand well before 2029. And this is why this is such a dangerous moment. His only options are to hold the big fat juicy L and then lie and pretend like he won, but hold the L, give Iran what they want, and open up the strait with them collecting taxes or fees for it, or some insane psychotic escalation that's not going to work, which is going to lead to death, destruction, and the global economy continuing to collapse. But either way, unless he just gives Iran what they want, agrees to all of the terms, then we're looking at gas prices going up to $6, $7 a gallon. We're looking at a global economic catastrophe. And so we're really, really getting to the end of the road here, y'all. I don't know how else to say it. I don't know how else to...
Yeah, and what I want people to understand is, see, they keep talking about the strategic reserves going down and going down. People say they give it a more weeks, things like that. But once it gets to a really low amount, all that's left is unusable. It's kind of like when you consistently let your gas tank get all the way down, you get a whole bunch of bad gas in there, and you can't use it. Your gas, like, what's that thing that reads gas? What's that freaking
fuel gauge?
The fuel gauge. Yeah, the fuel gauge. I thought it was called something different, but let's say fuel gauge, right? It's gonna show that you have fuel, but that's bad fuel. That will clog up your fuel system. That's the type of oil that's at the bottom of the strategic reserve. So yeah, it may look full, but a lot of that is unusable, and nobody knows when they're gonna hit that specifically. That's why this is catastrophic. So if they gonna wait that long, 3 more years, 3 years, oh yeah, that's Great Depression. It's over with. It's either like Iran is saying you're either gonna accept our demands, or you're gonna let your nation die, or you're gonna let your nation and the world die and do a stupid attack, and they're all gonna die. it's you want to pick one of those. Either way, we win. Because even if they drop, like, quote unquote attack nuke, do you think there's not going to be no reciprocity from anybody else? Like, do you not think that? You think China, or you think China, Russia, other nuclear nations are going to just sit there and accept that? And even if they don't accept that, you set a precedent. Oh, it's okay to drop nukes now. So let me do that now. This man is you're literally a moron. like Alicia said, if the world is given into the hands of the wicked. Easily provable.
To get it across. Okay.
Yeah, and it's just like what I said, ready to go. We just ready to go home. That's why I'm happy about this. It's really funny. It's ironic. It's like ironically enough to me, I call him a dumbass and things like that, and his supporters because I have to deal with him. We live in Texas. You're going to deal with him, but it's like inside, I'm very happy that this is happening because this is going to lead to our salvation, bro. This is going to lead to our salvation, and I love every second of it. And the Lord is allowing this place a circle to drain, and we get to watch the village idiots out there in power in this kakistocracy, right? Just watch this nation ruled by the stupidest, most unqualified people, and look like a reality show all the way into the end. We get entertainment all the way into the end. That's what we get.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride this year, bro. It's been crazy.
Yeah. And look, winter's gonna be something.
Man.
Winter is gonna be something, bro.
How does this been, man? Like that's a good idea to start looking at your winter gear. Yeah, I better start packing up, doing something. Be prepared. Have some readiness about you.
Yeah, because now we know winter's coming.
Yeah.
Same time, Iran's IRGC announces its missiles have now been upgraded and have the capability to change course mid-flight to evade enemy air defense systems, the IRGC spokesperson tells Fars. The IRGC adds Iranian missiles can also be reassigned to a secondary target mid-flight, even after a specific target has been designated. The upgrade includes Iran's Kibar Shekan ballistic missile, Fatah 1 and Fatah 2 hypersonic missiles, and the Imad ballistic missile. So yet again, another example of their capabilities being far above and beyond what we thought their capabilities were. Let's not forget, they're also getting help with intelligence from China. And we simply were not prepared for an enemy that is this ready. And now,
so they're already ready. And on top of them being ready, China's helping them. Bro, we seeing bricks make the move. But this is crazy. And watch this dumbass. I think he gets Trump on here saying, yeah, there you go. Trump might say some stupid shit right after this.
Now, that's what they got going on over there. What do we have going on? Well, ProPublica has this amazing article here, and they talk about a factory that got a massive U.S. government subsidy, okay? Taxpayers funded $533 million for this, and, quote, the facility never produced a single usable shell. The fiasco has cost taxpayers $533 million, but the Army has not held General Dynamics or a key Turkish subcontractor publicly accountable for the failures, nor has it made General Dynamics pay a penny back. So in other words, what's happening here is graft. What's happening here is a bunch of corruption. What's happening here is the U.S. military-industrial complex is a slush fund for corporations in the Epstein class to get rich. So, our missiles cost millions of dollars per missile, right? Our defense systems cost millions of dollars per interceptor, for example. And you go look at where that money goes, and it's like, well, a lot of it is just being skimmed off the top. A lot of it is just like people getting rich and not providing anything. And this is a caught red-handed type situation here, where taxpayers paid $533 million and not a single usable shell was created.
Yeah, that's what your money went to. $500 million that like I said, when you look at your paycheck and it says FIT, that couple $100 is coming out of your check. I don't know how much. I don't know what the rate is for everybody, but let's just say a couple $100. A couple $100 coming out of your check. That's where it's going, to a place where they made missiles, a few missiles, because they take years to make, and none of them worked. They were all messed up looking and destroyed. You see this? Look at this. Look at this. Look at this missile. What is that? What is that, bro? I paid for this. Oh my God, bro.
A lot of it is just like people getting rich and not providing anything. And this is a caught red-handed type situation here, where taxpayers paid $533 million and not a single usable shell was created. And this is why, by the way, the Pentagon has failed 8 audits in a row, and they can't account for 63% of their money. This is why right here. We are never going to win actual wars when this is the state of affairs. When we're not actually preparing for war. It is just a grab bag of corruption. And it's like gives the illusion of power and strength, but it's not.
What is that, Vickers world? We know Job's not an Edomite. We're going to get there.
It's just like everybody's robbing the taxpayers blind. That's what's happening here. All right. So Trump came out and he was asked about the war with Iran. And of course, he's panicking and desperately trying to cover everything up and lying about everything. Here we go.
I don't trust Iran. Why? Are you saying I trust Iran? I'm the last person to trust Iran. They've lied to me constantly. We have total control over the Hormuz Strait right now. They don't have control. We have total control. We own it. And at some point, maybe they'll do something and then they get blown away. But right now, we're in a very good position. We have a country that has been the bully of the Middle East for 50 years. It's really 51 if you think about it, right? We've been saying 47 for 4 years. And they're no longer the bully of the Middle East. Thank you very much, everybody.
Like literally all of that was just lie. It's insane. It is absolutely insane. So, look, make no mistake about it. Trump is panicking and Iran is poised for this thing to continue. Trump is caught flat-footed. He doesn't know what to do. And it's all catching up to him now, man. It is all catching up to him now, and there is no way out. Hey, y'all, do me a favor.
That is crazy. This man's getting on it. He's getting on Fox News and said, we own the strait. If you own the strait, then why you can't send no ships through it, Donald? Why every time you try to send a ship through it, it get blown out of the water? Why haven't gas prices gone down, Donald? Why am I still paying $3.70 in Texas? We don't spend that much on gas. Like we pay $2 here. That's the luxury of living in freaking Edomsville. Let's just be honest. That's one of the few luxuries we have is that gas is cheap, right? Cheap in this area. Why are we paying $3.70? Like if you control the strait, what are you talking about? Like he's literally lying to people, has no idea what to do. And we might need to talk about this too, not today, because that needs to be its own dedicated video. Did you hear about Trump having to escape out of a cafeteria little cart?
Yeah, he did a switcheroo, man.
Yeah. He
getting paranoid. He getting paranoid.
But I got to be real careful because I think AIPAC shut my live down the last time. I need to be very careful when I say this. I think there was some of this involved with that. Right? I think there was some of that. I don't want AIPAC to try to come shut my live down. I'm trying to, I'm trying to be good, right? I'm trying to be good. But I think some of that had to do with it. But that's gonna be its own video. But that's crazy. I need y'all to see this too. Look at this.
At the start of the Iran war, the United States had two carrier groups in the region. One of them had multiple difficulties, including the underwear section of the ship catching fire. That's a Gerald Ford, as well as people accidentally flushing socks and T-shirts down the toilets, clogging them up. So the Gerald Ford carrier group had to retreat from our war effort. That left the USS Lincoln, which cost us something like $10 or $20 billion to produce, which cost us, I think, around $8 million a day to operate. I'm just doing a little math. That's about $300,000 an hour to keep that thing going.
$300,000 an hour. When you go look at your paycheck and see FIT, your money's going for people to be out there on a ship jumping off of it because they're mad because of the war, eating slop. They can't even afford to pay money to feed these sailors who was a part of this blockade for no reason whatsoever. And they literally only exist to offer defense to Israel. And that's not Yachty being crazy and saying, just mentioning Israel. He literally says this in this video. That's nuts. Why every time we turn around, we find out there's more of our money literally going to things that don't make sense? You ever notice that, Kasab? Every day we find out it's just something new that, like, why are we paying for this?
Hey, that's what the purpose of those was, bro. They exposed corruption so they could have their own little piggy bank, man. They had to get the money from the other corrupt people to put it in their corrupt
to
pockets.
migrate it.
Yeah, bro. It's a shell game.
It's a shell game.
Let's check in on how it's going. Not so well. And put this first element up on the screen. Sailors are trying to jump off the thing as it's been out in the ocean for more than 240 days at this point. Let's roll. Let's roll this first stop.
You guys, there is a mental health crisis happening aboard the USS Lincoln in the Middle East that no one is talking about, and mainly because the Navy's pretty much quashing it. You will read online about food shortages, supply shortages, poor morale among crew members. That's because they've been at sea continuously for 250 days.
Imagine that. You've been out there for 250 days defending the small hats. That's the only reason you're there. You can't see your wife. You can't see your kids. I think they have cell phone. I'm not sure. I think they have cell phone bans, so you can't literally take a video and then post it somewhere. I think they have cell phone bans. That's why you haven't really seen too much of it. That's what they have to go through. Imagine that, just to serve them, because they blew all their interceptors in 2 wars, with 11 or 12 days war when they tried to attack Fordo prior to the Iran war. That's 2 wars. For no reason. Imagine that.
They've been deployed a total of 271 days, 250 without a port of call. That's unheard of. Normally, they will go to port every 3 to 6 weeks. They have not been to port in 38 weeks. Keep in mind, there are 52 weeks in a year. And yes, the showers are moldy. They're eating basically like a gruel kind of slop at this point. There's no deodorant. There's no...
Bruh, I have to take money out of my paycheck every single week. 2 weeks, I get paid every 2 weeks, unfortunately, right? Every 2 weeks to go to these guys eating gruel. They're eating gruel while people over there in that land that they're defending, the aforementioned name that I already mentioned earlier. I'm not going to say it too many times. I don't want to invoke them, right? But I'm trying not to, right? But while they're over there eating steak and kosher pork, they're over there eating gruel on a cell phone ban.
Toothpaste. My nephew has a friend on board there, and I was basically hearing updates last week when I was in the States in real time. They're not talking about the mental health crisis. 6 people have tried to jump off that ship. The most recent was last Monday. When you have not touched land in 38 weeks, in over 200 days, things start to happen to you mentally. Combine that with exhaustion, and deadly mistakes start to happen. So, this is how the Department of War, this is how Donald Trump treats our servicemen and women, whose lives are already being put in harm's way for a bullshit war of aggression that was supposed to be over in a matter of weeks. We are further putting their lives at risk out of sheer ineptitude and neglect. It defies logic, it defies reason, and it defies basic fucking humanity.
And this is not just a guy saying his nephew talked to his cousin. We can put up this next element. This thing's E2 from the Military Times. Multiple USS Abraham Lincoln sailors have tried to go overboard and made extended deployment, families say. So this is extraordinarily serious. This is, you go back, you read novels or about 19th century seafaring. Okay, they had it worse than these guys had.
Yeah.
This is not good.
No.
38
weeks.
They're getting resupplied, from shore as quickly as possible from little, shuttle boats going back and forth. But this is getting dark, and this is what the U.S. has to threaten Iran with as it's going into these negotiations.
Bro.
Negotiations are happening, right?
Salaki, them folks getting held hostage, bro. You can't expect nobody to go to war for you. You holding them hostage. They prisoners, man. For real, bro.
How do you expect me to go fight for you and you're giving me gruel to eat every day? Moldy showers. Bro, watch what they say. Watch what they say. Watch it.
Like, if you don't give us what we want in these talks, we're going to unleash hell on you again, because we have the fearsome USS Lincoln nearby. We spent billions of dollars to construct, and many billions more, training and recruiting sailors and supplying them. And if you're looking at this, you're like, I'm not so sure this is in fighting force. If it has already moved significantly out of close range of Iranian missiles, which undercuts the whole point of having an aircraft carrier group, right? Like, it's supposed to be mobile and get you close to your targets.
Right.
Now, if they come under drone barrages or other cruise missile attacks, you're going to be, the sailors who are in charge of the defense of the ship are not going to be at their peak performance.
Clearly not. So Stars and Stripes, which my recollection is the Department of War has tried to sort of editorially assert dominance over, also reported yesterday that there's this massive meeting between families of people who are deployed on the USS Lincoln and Navy Secretary Hun Kao. In one case, they say from this meeting, a spouse tearfully told officials that she received a message that same day from her husband saying, quote, he hopes he doesn't wake up tomorrow.
Damn.
38 weeks in.
Damn.
And for what? It's like not really even in the fight. And
I think that's what's so demoralizing probably for them.
The actual for what is that it's there to provide missile defense for Israel.
Right.
Like that's the Navy main role.
It's just there to give missile defense for the nation he just named. Redacted. For the redacted that he just
Hey, that's why they relying so heavily on AI, bro. And AI really is getting it wrong all the time. AI is stupid if people don't know. Oh, I got a precept too. And this is laws concerning warfare. This is Deuteronomy chapter 20. And I'm gonna start at where do I want to start? I start at verse 5. It said, then the officers shall speak to the people, saying, is there any man who has built a new house and has not dedicated it? Let him go back to his house, lest he die in battle and another man dedicate it. And is there any man who has planted a vineyard and has not enjoyed its fruit? Let him go back to his house, lest he die in the battle and another man enjoy his fruits. And is there any man who has betrothed a wife? But basically getting to the point, okay, verse 8. And the officer shall speak further to the people and say, is there any man who is fearful and faint-hearted? Let him go back to his house, lest he make his heart of his fellows melt like his own. And that's basically the situation that they falling into right now. You probably got a lot of people who just had bought a home or use their little VA loan or whatever the case may be. They got all these different various situations going on right here in Deuteronomy 20, and they can't even go back home. They stuck on that boat, and nobody's going to fight for these people. They just dare to not provide missile defense, but become missile food.
Yep, you become a target, and that's what's happened. That's what this guy is doing. But he wants to talk about how he built the army. Okay. Now, this is the last one on Trump before we go into the lesson. We're not going to watch all of this. I just want to watch a little bit of this. I want y'all to see what this man's got cooked up. This man's got something. That's what this right here, plus what we just showed earlier, is why I say winter, because November is when the midterms come. Winter is going to be nuts. Look at this goy fighter. me and the dudes in my job call him the goy wall, the wall of goy. The wall of goyim. But I was gonna say, this right here, winter, November, when winter is going to be nuts. Watch what Trump says here. Watch what he says and watch what he doesn't say.
Trump showed up on the talk show of a MAGA host, Wayne Allen Root, and here's what happened, because you're going to want to pay attention to what the host says and then how Trump responds. They were talking about potentially a national security emergency for elections. Let's listen.
Oh, and I want to say this real quick. Mind you, all the clips I'm showing you today, literally, this is news today. These videos came out, all three of these videos came out today, like hours before I got on live. So I saw this after I finished up my my work that I had in my job and the BS we got going on. I watched this. I was like, nope, we're talking about this today. We're talking about this today, especially this, right? Now watch this.
Listen.
Let me put an idea in your head, okay? Because it's so hard to get the Senate to do anything, now they're on recess, they don't get anything done if they never get the Save America Act done. You have the right to declare a national security emergency for elections. And the Supreme Court ruled in 1983 under Reagan that INS versus Chadha, that if you declare a national security emergency as the President of the United States, they can't challenge it. It can only be overturned by a 2/3 vote of both houses of Congress. So if you do this in the next month, we will get photo ID, proof of citizenship, and a limit to mail-in ballots. And
Let
you
me
don't
just say
even
that
need
stranger
the
things
Senate
have
vote.
happened. Okay, I'll leave it at that.
All right, we'll leave it at that.
What does that mean? What does that mean? Let me tell you, stranger things have happened, and I'm going to leave it at that. This man has a plan for the midterms. Listen to what the dude just told him. He said that you should just use your emergency powers to just, cancel either cancel it or stall the elections, or not declare victories to the people who won. And the only thing that can stop you is the House and the Senate, which the Republicans own both of those. So they're going to keep their positions. They literally have the ability to keep their positions in which they will lose in the midterms. And Trump didn't rule that out. And not only did he not rule that out, he said, stranger things have happened. Wink, wink. And I'll leave it at that. That man's got a plan for November, which means we need to have a plan for November. Also, Shalom, Ariel, I just see you in the chat, right? He said, that's going to cause a riot. Look, that might be one of the wildest things, because that's going to cause a riot everywhere. They're talking about freaking Tallarico might win in Texas. He's already leading the polls. Could you imagine if Texas turns Democratic? Oh, buddy, these people, look, we might see that movie Civil War that came out. We might just see it.
Just either that or the Purge.
Either that or the Purge. One of them. Something. This November is going to be nuts.
Hey, might make me go watch Purge election year, bro.
Yeah. I ain't seen that one.
Man, check it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that one out. I gotta see that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, let me do this. Right. So I'm gonna reiterate the title. Job the righteous Edomite king. Man, we gotta talk about this. Now, there needs to be, what is that fizzle, the Genesis 46 and 13? If that's the one that I think it is, where it mentions a person named Job, that's not the same Job. What was I gonna say? So I want to preface it with this. There is no definitive proof on the specific and exact nationality of Job. There is none. The only thing people can do is either assert or show, I guess, take positions on basically the characteristics of Job. There is no specific way to prove his nationality, or else we would have, number one, we would have seen something by now, or we would have had more concrete evidence, and wouldn't have, like, the realm of academia arguing about it since damn near the fourth century BCE, right? We would have seen something. Now, like I was saying in the very beginning in this live, Christians purport what's in the Septuagint to affirm who Job is. Christians believe that Job is an Edomite king. Job's name, instead of Job, it's Jobab, right? And what else? And both of his friends are Edomites, so that means Job is an Edomite. That is the conclusion of the evidence that they have to claim that Job is an Edomite. Now, with that, I want to look at this evidence. We're going to read this evidence, and then I'm going to cross-examine it. Because when I was in Sakari, I learned of a precept called Proverbs 18 and 17. Proverbs 18 and 17 says, the first to speak in court sounds right, sounds true, sounds valid, until the cross-examination comes. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to cross-examine this evidence, right? Because the only thing people can do about Job is say that, just make claims, really. And after we look at their evidence, what I want to do, I want to show how I think Job is one of two things. I believe he's a Shemite of some sort, or a son of Abraham of some sort. I think I lean towards that, just predicated on how the Lord feels about the Edomites, Job's characteristics. I really just think it's that, really. Just those things. I lean towards that way. And I'm going to show my evidence, and his lifespan, because his lifespan fits more of the patriarchal lifespans. He lived till he was 140. So that all of that points to he was of that time period. Well, he was of those people. Now, let me show y'all the evidence about Job being a Jobab, the Edomitical king. Kasab, could you read this for me? So what we're showing on the screen, I'm gonna show you where to read. What we're reading on the screen. Oh shoot, hold up. Okay, there we go. What we're about to read on the screen is the Septuagint adding to the Bible. Literally. The Septuagint is the Greek version of our scriptures that we got forced to create, and we hated it. Jews did not like the Septuagint. They were heavily against it. They thought the translation wasn't the best, and they mourned because of it. That's history. We see that damn near through the Bible, and if we look at even what Jewish people say, they're not fans of it either. And their quote unquote rabbis aren't either. Nobody is. The only people who are Christians. So when we look at this in Job, the very last verse of Job in the Septuagint, the people who made the Septuagint added something. So let's read that. Can you show me this? Could you let me show you this actually. Start at 16. This is the verse before the last verse in Job. Then we're gonna read the last verse, and at the end of it, it has the addition. So you read it for me out?
16. It said, and Job lived after his affliction 170 years, and all the years he lived were 240. And Job saw his sons and his sons' sons, the fourth generation. And Job died, and Job died an old man full of days. You said drop down? Or
keep reading.
Okay. Keep reading. And it is written that he will rise again with those whom the Lord raises up. This man is described in the Syriac Book as living in the land of Uzziah, or Aziz, on the border of Idumea and Arabia, and his name before was Jobab. And having taken an Arabian wife, he begat a son whose name was Enon, and he himself was the son of his father Zar, one of the sons of Esau, and of his mother Basra, so that he was the fifth from Abram. And these were the kings who reigned in Edom, which country he also ruled over. First, Balak, the son of Beor, and the name of his city was Nineveh. But after Balak, Jobab, who is called Job, and after him, Asim, who was governor out of the country of Teman, and after him, Adad, the son of Barad, who destroyed Madian in the plain of Moab. And
you can stop right there, because the rest of it isn't going to be really as important. So everything we just read right there in verse 17, that does not exist in the Hebrew. That is not there. The Greek version of the text adds that in there. So Christians take this to say, oh, well, he's Joab. The Septuagint says his name really is Jobab, and he's an Edomite. They get that from, let's go to Genesis real quick. Genesis 36. And can you start reading the 31 for me out? Read the 33.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 36 and verse 31. And these are the kings that reign in the land of Edom, before there reigned any king over the children of Israel. And Bela, the son of Beor, reigned in Edom, and the name of his city was Dinhabah. And Bela died, and Jobab, the son of Zerah of Basra, reigned in his stead. Mm-hmm. You said verse 33?
Yeah, read for 34.
Okay, come on. And Jobab died, and Husham of the land of Temanite reigned in his stead.
So when you see right here with this, they're saying he is Jobab. See Jobab right here, he's a son of Edom. So now he has to be of the children of Esau now, because his real name was Jobab, and this is who he is. This is their evidence to say he's an Edomite. It doesn't just stop here, right? And also, brother, right here, that's not the same Job. When you look into it, it's literally not the same Job. He's not an Israelite, and you would hope that he's not an Israelite with what I'm going to show a little bit later. You have this guy. Yeah, I'm gonna show this one. in the Jewish Encyclopedia. You have Aristeas the Historian or Aristeas the Exegete, depending on whatever source you're reading from. This man, all the things he wrote, there's no evidence of existing. There's no manuscripts except one fragment. There's literally only one fragment of his work that exists. Let's see what that was. Can you start reading this for me out?
Sound like the Book of Enoch.
Yeah, it's getting real Enochish. Go ahead.
Said Aristeas the Historian, writer on Jewish history, mentioned in Eusebius, who quotes from Alexander Polyhistor's collection of fragments, a passage from a work of Aristeas.
So when we get Aristeas, when we even hear about Aristeas, is Eusebius quoted Alexander Pfister. Alexander Pfister quotes hold on, I forget his name. That's crazy. Aristeas. So it's a quote of a quote of a quote. It's a quote of a quote of a quote.
They played the telephone game.
They're playing telephone game. None of the rest of his stuff exists except this one quote of a quote of a quote. Let's read this quote. Keep going. Right?
Which contains the history of Job almost as it is given in the biblical narrative, but offers much that is noteworthy in regard to the names of personages. Job's original name was Jobab, that is, Aristeas identifies Job with Jobab mentioned in Genesis, a great-grandson of Esau. He bases his identification on the fact that Eliphaz recurs in the generations of Esau, that is, Appellation Temanite, and is found in Genesis. That's Job's dwelling place. Uz is suggested by Genesis 28 that Zephyr or Zophar occurs at least in the Septuagint of Genesis 11. In point of fact, the author of Job simply borrowed the names from Genesis.
So what he's saying is, real fast, what he's saying is the author of Job borrowed that name from another name in Genesis. You know where that other name is from? Genesis 46 and 13. That Job. That's what he's saying. Now that's stupid because that doesn't work, because that's a literal different Job. That's a literal descendant of Issachar that we have understanding of who that is. Literally. Like, that's not the same Job. But what this dude Aristeas is, he's trying to exegete, he's looking at Genesis, all the various different places, and coming to the conclusion by himself, is coming to the conclusion and saying that Job is an Edomite and his name is just simply borrowed. That's why they call him Aristeas the exegete. That's all he's doing. That's all he's done. Now, that by itself is crazy. And then you add on top of the fact that this is a telephone game of a source of a source of a source, and the original person's work doesn't exist at all except as a source of a source of a source. Right? Doesn't that sound sketchy to you? Don't that sound sketchy as hell to you? That's sketchy as hell. And that's going to lead to the conspiracy I'm going to show a little bit later that I have about this topic. But keep going where you stopped at.
Okay. But now in the Septuagint additions to Job, which agree almost word for word with Aristeas, are found the same substitutions. Jobab stands for Job, Uz is placed in Idumea, and Job's friends are called kings. If the addition to Genesis 33 designates Job's parents mistaking the last name for that of his mother, it enables us to remedy an error, not of Aristeas, but of Alexander. Frodenthal holds it for certain that the author of the additions made use of Aristeas. Possibly the reverse is more likely.
Yeah, that's what it is, really. The reverse is more likely because that existed before him. the Septuagint, when you first seeing it being fully completed, that's when you have Aristeas coming in on the scene, like in the midst of its completion, and he's exegeting the text. So it had to happen. The Septuagint, like what that addition had to been in there before he read it, and he quoted it in one of his works called On the Jews. It's literally called On the Jews by Aristeas, right? And the only thing that exists of that book is literally Eusebius quoting somebody writing a letter about Aristeas. All he did was read the Septuagint. That's where he got that from. Now, what Christians do is, in an attempt to save Esau, is what they do is, well, we got two witnesses. The Septuagint says this, and this the Aristeas, whatever you want to call him, Aristeas says it too. So we have two witnesses to back it up. Therefore, he's an Edomite. But number one, right? When we go back to this original source with the Septuagint, where this addition is located at, it says this man is described in the Syriac Book. Now, what I've been doing over the last week, I've been trying to figure out what is this Syriac Book, right? And I haven't been able to find out why that is. And not only me, the Edomite who told me about this couldn't find anything else about this book. You can see people, quote unquote, quoting from it. Scholars can't tell you anything about this book. Kasab, do you know why that is?
Because it probably don't exist.
Because nobody knows what the fuck it is.
Hey, this like Joseph Smith with his golden tablets, man, and went back to the heavens. Yeah. Nobody can find it.
Nobody knows what this book is. Like, you got to think about how random it is to say something. Syriac is really like saying, like, I think Armenian. I think that's like saying like the Armenian book or the black book or the white book or the European. It's written in the European book. Nigga, which one? And nobody knows what this is. Nobody knows what the Syriac book is, and they're getting the breakdown. The people who put Aramaic. Yeah, so I'm correct on that. So, where the people are giving this addition to the Septuagint from is a quotation out of some quote unquote book, Aramaic book, that nobody knows what it is. Nobody knows what it is. The only thing you can get close to trying to Google to what this is, you go Google Syriac book or Armenian book, right? All you're gonna get is Armenian Christians coming together and making a Bible, and then they quote from this addition. That's all you get. There is no Syriac book. There is no Armenian book. This is a faulty ass source.
It's just a rebrand.
It's just a rebrand, which is gonna lead to my conspiracy. I'm telling you, when we get there, I'm not gonna make no definitives. It's just kind of like with 9/11. You know, some people think certain people did it, and some people think another people did it. Mazel tov. But you know, we'll never know. But the thing about this is, this source is trash. It's trash. How can we trust that? And I'm working on a position paper with this, but I want to show y'all something too. Look at this. In the Greek, right here, right? Job. In the Hebrew, Job and Jobab, they're two completely different names in the Hebrew. They're two different completely names in the Greek. So the onus, what is that? The burden of proof to say that Jobab is Job is on anybody who says that and leans toward him being an Edomite because of Jobab. The onus is on you. And that Septuagint addition is not it. You can't even validate what manuscript that. You don't know what manuscript the Syriac book is. You don't know where it is. The scholarship now has no idea what that is. We have more information now at scholarship, and we don't know what that is. It's not, you don't have it. That's not enough information. We're not taking that. If you were actually a critical thinker and somebody who criticizes the text, you would not give a damn about what that said, like the Greek version of a Hebrew text says. the great value version of the Bible that has an addition that the Hebrew don't have. I'm supposed to take that and say he's an Edomite now? Like, come on. Watch this. Look at this. I want to show you. So this is when I said earlier, instead of Aristeas the Historian, another alias for him is Aristeas the Exegete. Now I want to show y'all something. Watch this. Can you read this out? We're not going to read all of it. I just want to read a little bit of it and then read the next paragraph.
From the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, this name gonna mess me up, boy.
Hold on real fast. We are not saying the Gentiles are going to be saved, and we're not saying that Job is an Edomite. We're not doing it. We're disproving it. I just want that to be out there.
Say, hey, don't respond to a matter before you examine it fully.
Yeah. Okay. He says, yeah, he knows. Okay. Oh, I want everybody to know, right? I want everybody to know. This is not something we don't lean towards this.
Nah.
These sources are BS sources, and this will show you this is a BS source. So just can you read this for me real quick, guy?
Say information on Aristeas the Exegete, a fragment from the work of one otherwise unknown Aristeas, in which the history of Job is briefly related in accordance with the Bible.
No, hold on, stop right there. That's saying the same exact thing what I said earlier in the other source. Nobody knows anything about Aristeas except this one fragment of something he said about Job. Every one of his works is unknown. If this is supposed to be a scholastic person in history who's supposed to exegete the text and we're supposed to respect, right? Or how to even say like the early church fathers, why is none of his works known? But I'm supposed to accept the fact that he said one sentence in a letter that somebody wrote that was quoted by somebody else, and now he's an Edomite. No, that's not scholastic. Everybody who believes that is on BS. And I've seen Hebrew Israelites. The reason why I'm doing live about it, I've seen Hebrew Israelites peddling the same bullshit. I seen a video the other day talking about y'all know Job's an Edomite. You got Straightway Ministry. That somehow that video showed up my feed. He said, Job's an Edomite. Look at the Septuagint. Y'all didn't look into any of these sources. This is why you have to look into sources.
Say these niggas participating in iconoclasm, man.
Literally. Literally. That's gonna be part of my. I'm telling you, that's part of my conspiracy that I'm gonna have. But keep going with this.
At 25, the history itself presents nothing worthy of remark, but the personal accounts both of Job and his friends are supplemented on the ground of other scriptural material.
Yeah, and when it says his friends, he's talking about Eliphaz the Temanite, right? And that's not the original Eliphaz you see, who's a direct son of Esau. This is a different Eliphaz. So this Eliphaz is called a Temanite. One of his friends is called a Temanite. That is a descendant of Esau. That literally, and not literally, not like in a literal, like he boom now had a son, and boom, that's that same Eliphaz. No. Throughout history, throughout time period, they had another child through the line of Esau, through the lineage of Esau, named Eliphaz. His friend's a Temanite. So what Aristeas and a lot of people like Straightway Ministries, you Hebrew Israelites who want to save the damn devil, right? And Christians like to do is say, oh, he had Edomite friends, so that must mean he's an Edomite too. Okay, then by that same logic and token, if you go to your job and Edomites work at your job and you're not automatically hating the so-called white man at your job, you know what that means? I guess you're a white man too then. I guess you're a white man too then. Like at some point we have to start having critical thinking and logic. Every time I get on this live, I always stress them two things. That's two things Hebrew Israelites lack: critical thinking and logic. And every time I hear things, I always think of that SpongeBob meme, future. Like that's every time. I think of our future of being Hebrew Israelites in this past 2026, God forbid we have to stay here any longer. But what doctrine y'all be coming up with next? That's why Paul said he was scared of the. I think it was the Church of Corinth. I'm scared of y'all because y'all come with a new doctrine every time. That's niggas.
Yeah.
That's niggas for you. But keep going with this, Zach.
Thus it is said of Job that he was formerly called Jobab, being evidently identical with I guess it's Jobab.
Yeah.
In the Greek. Genesis 33. Upon the ground of this identification, Job is then made a descendant of Esau. For Jobab was a son of Syriac and the latter grandson of Esau. According indeed to the extract of Alexander Polyhistor, Aristeas is said to have related that Esau himself married Basara and begot Job of her.
So that's what they're trying to say. So this is the same thing I said earlier about a source of a source of a source of a source. So we only know Aristeas because Alexander of Histor quoted him, and we only know about them two because Eusebius quoted them. It's a source of a source of a source of a source. Now look at this. Look at this second chapter real fast. We're not chapter, but paragraph.
All right. James Charlesworth writes, Aristeas the Exegete is known only through a quotation of about 16 lines from Alexander Polyhistor, that is preserved from Eusebius, which was translated into English by E.H. Gifford. The Greek is reprinted in A.M. Dennis's Fragmenta
Pseudepigrapha, because it's called pseudepigrapha because they don't even they attribute it. I think they attribute it to Alexander Polyhistor, right? But they're not even sure if he wrote it, so they're just calling it pseudepigrapha. What does word pseudo mean? Pseudo, fake. Right. Fake. If you watched Sakari back in the day, you know what I'm doing. Pseudo. It's fake as hell. Right. Now, coincidentally enough, look at this. Right. Start right here.
The
and
fragment.
All this BS right here, you can see. Yeah. But just jump after you read from the Septuagint right here. Start at hence.
I bet.
Watch this.
The fragment concerns Job, called Jobab, and reveals dependence upon the Septuagint. Hence, Aristeas the Exegete lived in the period between the completion of the Septuagint and the time of Alexander Polyhistor, perhaps around 100 BC. He may have lived in Palestine or Egypt, but the data will not permit us to decide which country is more probable.
We don't even know where he's from. We don't know where he's from. We don't know what race he is. We don't know if he's actually an avid reader of the Bible. It's just some random. I assume he's a white man. Some random white man picking up the Septuagint version of the Bible at that time, reading that addition and just adding it when he's writing his book or writings called On the Jews. That's what y'all want to use to say Job is an Edomite. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work, bro. It's not gonna work. That shit is crazy, bro. It's not gonna work. And right, and I want to deal with something real fast. So this dude right here said, "Boy, y'all niggas dumb. Job was before Abraham." So I have a question. How is his friend Eliphaz the Temanite? How is that even possible? Let's do this.
If Teman descend from Esau,
Eliphaz the Temanite, how is that possible? Because Esau comes from, you have Abraham, you have Isaac, and then you have Jacob and Esau. If Job is before Abraham,
right?
How is his friend a Temanite? Like, come on, bro. Like, come on, bro. Like, this. Let's be real.
Hey, that's called being loud and wrong.
Loud and wrong. There's no way to explain that. Like, bruh. Like, I'm not trying to. If you want to disagree, that's fine. And I'm not trying to say everybody who, like, if you're a Hebrew Israelite and you disagree, I'm not trying to say y'all are all dumb and all things like that. I'm really just enraged by the fact that there's a theology being formed off of sources that we don't even know who they came from, no manuscripts whatsoever, and we're just running with it. That's my thing. That's how I feel about it. I'm not trying to project that on really Hebrew Israelites who agree with it. I'm not trying to do that. But if you get on here, and say y'all niggas is dumb, and then proceed to say something stupid, now we're gonna arrive at this conclusion, right? I just had to, right? I just had to. But it is what it is on that. Now, I'm gonna go to this as well. Now, what makes this even funnier, right? Since he said that, so this is where Aristeas the Historian and some Hebrew Israelites who believe Job is an Edomite, this is also where they go to say he has an Edomite friend. Now, they always say he has like Edomite friends. The only one who we know for sure is an Edomite is Eliphaz. The rest of them, we don't even know. Like a Shuhite, right? Bildad, the Shuhite, right? When you look at this, let me show you something. Right? A descendant of Shua. What does that say?
Son of Abraham.
He's a son of Abraham. What do we do with that information? If all of his friends are Edomites, why is one called a Shuhite? But you go back to that name as a son of Abraham. I thought all of his friends were Edomites. Now that also brings you to Zohar, the Namathite, right? Now when you go back to that, there's no specific place where that's from. So when you look at that, I should have just stayed in the interlineal with that. Yeah, site unknown. We don't know where that is. That's named after people. Like that name really kind of comes from various different people, like loveliness and wife of Solomon, mother of Rehoboam of Judah. There's another town in Judah named Philistia. If we're going to use that same logic that Eliphaz is a Temanite, then we could try to say, oh, well, you must be a Judite. I don't believe that, because when you go back and look at how this is presented, they say partial from a place corresponding in the name, but not identical. That identical name would be that city which I just showed, which is in Judah. So the scholastic people, the scholars attest that this is just an unknown place. We don't know where this guy is from. But what we do know from the information that we have, one of Job's friends is an Edomite, and another of Job's friends, one of them is a son of Abraham, and another one is from a place we have no idea. So this is not adequate enough proof to say Job is a Edomite. I was going to say Temanite, but Edomite. This is not enough. None of that. And matter of fact, the fact that it's naming his friends' nationalities throughout the book of Job kind of shows you he's probably not part of their nation.
Right.
When you see Doeg, what follows that damn near every time you see his name? The Edomite. When you see Ruth, what precedes her? The Moabite. Not precedes, but follows her, succeeds her. Moabite. Every time the Bible, if it wants to juxtapose somebody from somebody else in one of our historic books in the Bible, in the Old Testament, it makes sure you know that they are not of the children of Esau, children of Israel, right? It literally makes sure to do that. Now, another argument. So the name Jobab, I want to talk about that. So they're saying his name really wasn't Job, it was Jobab. Another reason why I would call BS on that is because there's multiple times in the Bible where people's names are changed, and the Bible has like, it's not hard for the Bible to show you it happening. Watch this. Can you give me Genesis 17? Are you reading out of your sword, or you gonna put it on the screen?
You can just put it on the screen.
Come on. Look at this.
Verse 5. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 17, and verse 5. Neither shall thy name anymore be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham, for a father of many nations have I made thee.
So I didn't have to wait till the Septuagint came out to know that somebody's name was different or that it would be changed. I didn't have to do that. Oh, they're going to be, wait a minute, that's just Abraham. We know Abraham. Let's see something. Let's see if this has happened again. Genesis 32 and 28. Look at this. You read it for me out?
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 32, and verse 28. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince has thou power with God and with men, and has prevailed.
So we see Abraham and Jacob's name be changed in the Bible. I didn't have to wait for the Septuagint to come out. I didn't have to wait for the Septuagint to come out to find this out. But for some reason, for Job especially, who's now of another race that we haven't heard of this entire time, now he has to be Jobab, and I had to wait for the Septuagint. No, we're not doing that. But you'll have a Christian. Well, that's just the Old Testament. That always happened in the Old Testament. Let's read some New Testament. I got you, right? Is this Job? I think it's 42. Is it Job? Was it 1 to 42? Yeah, look at this. And we're gonna read this in the NLT, so there ain't no excuse. Can you read this from me, Ike?
This is the book of John, chapter 1, and verse 42. Then Andrew brought Simon to meet Jesus. Looking intently at Simon, Jesus said, your name is Simon, son of John, but you will be called Cephas, which means Peter.
Which means Peter. So Peter's name was changed from Simon to Peter in the New Testament. I'm really saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Paul's name started off as Saul. It got changed to Paul. We've seen that in the text. How come every other time somebody's name is changed, or it starts as this name and then evolves into something else? We see it in the text, but for some reason I had to wait for the Septuagint and Aristeas to read the Septuagint and then write something in a book that we don't know anything about, so that Alexander could quote it, and so Eusebius can then quote it. It's for us to know in 2026 that Job's name was actually Jobab and that he's a white man. That's what you want me to believe? No, that's the crazy thing. That's the thing that be pissing me off. That's the thing that it's a massive insult to people's intelligence to sit there and then give that as a scholastic source and then feel a certain type of way when we don't accept it. That is an affront to my intelligence and everybody else's. That's the things that I just cannot stand, bro. And also, let's go back to Job real quick. Something very funny about Job that I don't understand why people never caught. So they say Job eventually became a king. Now, I'm going to say this. They said Job eventually became a king. Why don't we see that in the book of Job? Because the book of Job chronicles all of his life, all the relevant times of his life. When you first see him, he's not a king. So for him to be a king, according to them, at some point he would have to be that. Now, the problem with that is when we see Job chapter 42, verse 16, can you read this for me out? 16 and 17.
It's the book of Job, chapter 42, and verse 16. Job lived 140 years after that, living to see 4 generations of his children and grandchildren. Then he died, an old man who had lived a long, full life.
So we see all of Job's relevant years when the Lord starts dealing with him in chapter 1 and chapter 2. And then at the very end of his book in Job chapter 42, it says he lived 140 years and then he died. So you see the beginning of his life and the end of his life. So the Bible has everything in between. Why when I read the book of Job, I never see him ascend to a throne? If he's supposed to be a king, if his name was accidentally supposed to be Jobab and he was a king, we would have seen it in between Job 1 and Job 42. Like this is what I mean by, like, I've been saying this. Sometimes damn a precept, just listen to what they're saying and just cut that logically. That logically makes, he's supposed to be a Edomite king, but for some reason we see the whole chronicling of his life, and that never happens one time. Like, this is what I mean, bro.
But
That's
wait,
what I mean.
so like, if you look at it, like when all his possessions were taken, like when if you go to Job 1 and 15, it said, and the Sabians fell upon them and took them and struck down the servants with the edge of the sword. And I alone escaped to come tell you. One of his servants escaped to come tell him. Why wasn't it a act of war at that point? And now he's going to pursue the Sabians and now take over that kingdom for what he just recently lost. It wasn't no conquest after that. He didn't go ride off on horse and chariot. And now, hey, since you did this to my kingdom, now the sword falls on you and your kingdom.
Everybody else did,
right, in
the Bible. All the rest of the kings did. You think David gonna just take something like that? Hell, do you think Saul gonna take something like that? But somehow he just got G-checked and he just accepted it. But he was a king. No, stop it, bro. Like, stop the madness. That's not proof. The burden for you to say Job is an Edomite, the 100% burden of proof is not on me to disprove it. It is on you to prove it. And the evidence that has been displayed, this is the only evidence we have. This evidence is not enough. Let me get this precept. Here, read this for me out.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 18, verse 17. The first to speak in court sounds right until the cross-examination begins.
You sound smart reading that Septuagint. You sound really smart reading that Septuagint and quoting from a quote of a quote of a quote, right? Because most people ain't never heard of it. I'll even say this. I'm pretty studied and I haven't heard of it, right? Until just recently. I've heard of people thinking that, but I never really looked into it. So you sound smart saying it until we put a microscope on the bullshit.
Right.
Until that cross-examine, like when that woman's crying on the stand, talked about somebody did things to her, right? Or doing all these tears, everybody on the jury stand is sitting there just tearing up. And then the cross-examination starts, and the lawyer proves she wasn't even there or the man wasn't there. That's when you start saying all the goop. That's when all the tears start drying up, and that's when you start looking real stupid. Then you get off, right? Then the not guilty charge comes through. Not charge, but like verdict comes through. Everybody sounds right until the cross-examination begins. That sounds good. It sounds like he's supposed to be this righteous king. Sounds good, but it don't work. It don't work. It falls through. Now, this is leading me also to my conspiracy. So I've talked about this when we talked about the Esau, when it said Esau is not the white man thing. So I'm going to show y'all something. So I showed on here, when was the Septuagint? And these days are legit. Like this, all right, check this out. On Wikipedia, they're actually quoting sources. So here's what it is. This is the easiest way to show this data without reading everything, right? So it was concluded around 132, really going into like 120-ish, right? That's when it was being concluded. The Septuagint, that is. So at that same time, let me tell y'all what was happening at that same time. So the last time we see Edom, like as like in mass, is this. So can you read what do I want? Let's just read this. I'm trying to get it to where it don't look stupid on the screen. Read this paragraph. This is paragraph.
By the 4th century BCE, the Nabateans were inhabiting the Edomite territory, and the Edomites were never able to return. Instead, they found themselves in the Negev to the south of Judah. The Edomites moved as far north as Hebron, and eventually the southern part of Judah became known as Idumea.
So after they got their ass whooped by the Babylonians, Nabateans rather, a lot of them got their ass whooped there. The land got ravaged, turned over, just like how Malachi 1, they shall build, but the Lord shall destroy. Right. So they moved south of us, and then through what's about to be said by Josephus here during John Hyrcanus's rulership, they became Jewish. Now let's watch what time period that took place in. So go ahead and read this, Zach.
Salaki. Oh, according to Josephus, John Hyrcanus, the first subjugated them sometime between 130 and 120 BCE and compelled them to accept Judaism.
Yeah, and compelled them to accept Judaism. Now, I think it's Josephus. He says that like there was damn near no difference between us and them at that point. Now, that happened between 130 and 120 BCE. Conveniently enough, when the Septuagint was concluding, the same Septuagint that turned around and said Job was an Edomite. Now, I'm not gonna say what side that I'm on or what side that I'm leaning on about this thing, but that might be something to raise your eye at. To be like, that's mighty convenient. Because at that time, Job would be, because this is BC, this is before Christ existed. Job was looking like one of the most righteous men on earth, outside of like Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Enoch, that got translated. Job was one of the guys when you read verse 1, verse 1, he was perfect. So somebody who was viewed in such a great and grand light, now when the Septuagint is being concluded and finished, like to a finished state, at that same time, the Edomites are getting rehabilitated. At the same time, I'm not gonna say this could be or it couldn't be, but you might want to raise your eyebrows at that. You might just want to raise your eyebrows. That's some good information to know. That's some real convenient information to know.
Yeah, man.
Now, and the reason why we even know about this in the first place is because Christians and various Jewish people, right? And I have to say that because it's in here. Jewish people want to say that's a fulfillment of Obadiah 1:18. That's what they believe.
Nice try.
Do you know why they believe that? They believe that because if that doesn't happen there, that has to be future prophecy when the kingdom of God is established. Could you get Obadiah 1:21 for me, Art?
Good. That's when they did the old switcheroo.
The switcheroo.
Yeah, man. This is the book of Obadiah 1:21. Savior shall go up to Mount Zion to rule Mount Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Lord's.
So the kingdom was not the Lord's in the 1st or 2nd century BCE, right? Mm-hmm. It didn't happen at the time of Christ, like when he walked the earth, because he was in subjection to the Romans, just like the rest of us. Mm-hmm. It didn't happen after that because you had the Bar Kokhba revolt, 70 AD. Well, 70 AD, then Bar Kokhba revolt. Then Israel was scattered, really Judah, the southern kingdom is scattered into all nations after that, till the time that the Gentiles be fulfilled. But the times of the Gentiles being fulfilled, that's when the kingdom comes. And if the kingdom comes then, that's simultaneous, according to Obadiah, simultaneous. Their destruction is simultaneous when the kingdom comes. That's why they want to say that was fulfilled back then. Well, when they just all converted themselves to Judaism, they were eradicated. No. And this is why, it's prophecies like Obadiah is why I can't take a dummy seriously when they say Esau is not the white man. I saw that dummy's comment. I saw it last week or Monday. I was Monday or last week, probably Monday. I saw it. I didn't give a fuck about it then, and I don't give a fuck about it now. I don't care about what E1 B1 bullshit you got. I don't care what writing you says. Oh, they're Japheth. Also conveniently enough, I don't care about that. The prophecies in Obadiah and 2nd Ezra say that they will be the last ruling power. That's why Christians have to hurry up and fulfill these prophecies, because if they don't, salvation for all does not work.
Man, it don't work either way.
It creates a big problem for them. That's why they had to do that.
It's very problematic.
But that's the conspiracy that I have. It's real convenient that y'all are saying Obadiah 1:18 and 1:20, by extension, 1:21 is being fulfilled too, when they were converted. And when they converted, it was the same time the Septuagint was completed. And the Septuagint says one of the most righteous men to ever exist is an Edomite. And if that's true, that would rehabilitate the Edomites and they'll offer salvation to them.
Man,
Why is it convenient, bro?
You can't make straight what the Lord made crooked.
You cannot make straight what the Lord has made crooked. You can't do that. Now we can pivot to what I think Job is. I lean towards he's Shemitic, or maybe one of the sons of Abraham, because Abraham had many sons outside of Ishmael and what the heck? Isaac. I don't know how I did that. Ishmael and Isaac. Freaking brain fog in there. That was crazy. How could I forget Isaac, the one who's called? Right. So he had more children outside of them, and then they had sons. I lean towards he's one of those. Now, here's why I do that. These aren't in order. So one of the reasons is his age. He lived as long as the other patriarchs did, like 140 years. Jacob was like 147. Abraham lived a long time. Isaac lived a long time. I lean more towards like that. That fits that more than him just being an Edomite. Secondly, Job 1 and 5. I want to show something. And this is also going to show why it's problematic to think Job is a Issacharite. So can you read this for me, Art?
This is the book of Job, chapter 1 and verse 5. And when the days of the feast had run their course, Job will send and consecrate them. And he will rise early in the morning and offer burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, it may be that my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. Thus Job did continually.
So Job, he's offering sacrifice. He's offering burnt offerings. Now, if he's an Issacharite, that's a major transgression. Let me show you why that is. If he's an Issacharite, and Issachar is under the Torah, let's go to Leviticus. Can you read this for me, Art?
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 17 and verse 1. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to Aaron and his sons and to all the people of Israel, and say to them, this is the thing that the Lord has commanded. If anyone of the house of Israel kills an ox or a lamb or a goat in the camp, or kills it outside the camp, and does not bring it to the entrance of the tent of meeting to offer it as a gift to the Lord in front of the tabernacle of the Lord, blood guilt shall be imputed to that man.
He's like a murderer. Keep going.
He has shed blood. Where it go? Go. Yeah, he has shed blood, and that man shall be cut off from among his people. Mm-hmm. This is to the end that the people of Israel may bring their sacrifices that they sacrifice in the open field, that they may bring them to the Lord, to the priest at the entrance of the tent of meeting, and sacrifice them as sacrifices of peace offerings to the Lord.
Now, when you see this, according to the Torah, we can't, me being a Judite, stop being a Judite, let's say Job, according to your breakdown, he's an Issacharite. He would be in massive transgression if I, Kasab, or this Issacharite Job in your case, right, in your use case, if he gave a sacrifice like that after this Torah has been given, he would be a sinner.
We see what happened to Saul.
And that's where we're going to go next. You seen what happened to Saul. But and that needs to be talked about before we go back to explaining why Job is giving sacrifices and the Lord accepted it. It's important. So let's go look at what happened to Saul. This is how you exegete. So get 1 Samuel 13 and 8 for me real quick, all right?
Yeah, just there. This is the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 13 and verse 8.
Hold up real quick. And that's true too. I forgot about that. That Issacharite Job had a different spelling of Hebrew than Job's was. So even that is problematic. But let's continue real quick.
This is the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 13 and verse 8. He waited 7 days, the time appointed by Samuel. But Samuel did not come to Gilgal, and the people were scattering from him. So Saul said, bring the burnt offering here to me, and the peace offerings. And he offered the burnt offering. As soon as he had finished offering the burnt offering, behold, Samuel came, and Saul went out to meet him and greet him. Samuel said, what have you done? And Saul said, when I saw that the people were scattering from me, and that you did not come within the days appointed, and the Philistines had mustered at Michmash, I said, now the Philistines will come down against me at Gilgal. Scroll down, son. And I have not sought the favor of the Lord, so I forced myself and offered the burnt offering. And Samuel said to Saul, you have done foolishly. You have not kept the command of the Lord your God, which he commanded you. For then the Lord would have established your kingdom over Israel forever.
So he broke the Torah commandment. He broke Leviticus 17. He knows he's not allowed to do that, but he did it anyway. He got scared, so he decided to offer his own sacrifice. He broke Leviticus 17. And what happened because of that? 1 Samuel 16. And also, I want to clarify something too. I saw a comment that is really kind of wild, especially when I explain myself. What is it? 16. Yeah. So he says, so niggas no more than the LXX translators, right? Now, I said earlier that the onus for anybody who thinks Job is Jobab, the burden of proof is on you to prove it. If these people say out of some miraculous book, the Syriac book, the Syriac is like Aramaic. That's like the equivalent of me saying the black book or the African American book, the European book. Which book is that? That's a random mysterious book that no manuscripts have, that they have no manuscripts of, right? Nor does anybody know what it is, and people have been trying to find that out for 2 centuries, not 2 centuries, 2 millennia, at least, about what that book is. Nobody knows what that is. So we don't know who wrote it. We don't know if it's valid at all. We don't know even if Hebrews wrote it. So to say, just to take what they put in the Septuagint at face value, that's scholastically irresponsible and stupid. And that's not enough evidence to prove that Job is Jobab and Edomite. That is not.
I got something to add to that, because niggas must never read the prologue to Syriac. In the prologue to Syriac, it said, for what was originally expressed in Hebrew does not have the same force when translated into another language. not only this work, but even the law itself, the prophecies and the rest of the books differ not little as originally expressed. So you got right here during the time of Syriac, that's what the Apocrypha, that would have been in the LXX. He's explaining in Syriac, in the prologue, that it does not have the same express context or content as the Hebrew does. So even then, you showing or seeing the the textual criticism. So we gotta criticize it. To sit up there and take it at face value, that's idiotic, bro.
Very.
And Salaki, I ain't trying to put you down, but to try to come at us like that when we clearly saying from the point that we started that we like to criticize the text. And there's nothing wrong with that. Rightfully dividing the word of truth. That's what we should do. But niggas taking one thing that somebody said and running with it and creating a doctrine off of it is crazy, bro. It's 2026, man.
That's what I'm saying. It's 2026.
2026.
But here's the point, though. He said translators. That's not a translation. That's not in the Hebrew, because the Septuagint, like Ariel said, there's multiple Septuagints. They had copies and copies and copies and copies. Now that made the final cut at the end of it, right? That's why I'm even acknowledging it in the first place. Now, that's an addition. That's not a translation. This is somebody who I guess maybe one of the translators. We don't know who added this in there, but they just added that into the text. That's like the Johannine comma.
Right.
That's like saying, well, we know more than the people who we know more than John who wrote the Johannine comma. But the Johannine comma is obviously an addition that everybody in the realm of academia knows. Literally. It's the same thing with this. It's an addition. It's an addition, and not only is it an addition, it's unfounded. That's the thing. Christ Jesus. I know. I'm not even gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. I'm doing better, right? But let's explain why it was bad for Saul to offer a sacrifice, knowing full damn well he's not on a roster of people who can do that. Can you read this from me, Ak?
This is the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 16, and verse 1. The Lord said to Samuel, "How long will you grieve over Saul, since I have rejected him from being king over Israel? Fill your horn with oil and go. I will send you to Jesse the Bethlehemite, for I have provided for myself a king among his sons."
So he was rejected by the Most High for doing that. He was rejected by the Most High for offering a sacrifice that was not lawful for him to do. So was Job rejected? No, he did that in the beginning of his book, and it said he continually did that for his family. But he wasn't rejected by the Most High. The Most High literally freaking had a conversation with the devil, or Satan. I forgot which one. Just the one like the literal translation of that, right? About how righteous he was. So he's not. I don't believe he's an Israelite. That just it doesn't make that much sense to me. But we also see other Shemite people and sons of Abraham offering burnt sacrifices before the Torah was given, and they were accepted, which lends more credence to he could be one of those people. We don't know. There's no genealogy of Job. There's no literal genealogy of Job. But when we look at the Bible and look at the rules and structure of it, when the codified law came out, it was applicable to all the Israelites. You can't just give sacrifice wherever you want anymore. You have to go to the tabernacle or you have to go to the temple. If you don't go to those places, you're as bad as a murderer. That's why when you look at it in the NLT, it says instead of blood guilt, it says you're as bad as a murderer. We see that same thing happening with Saul. So it lends more credence to he's most likely either a son of Abraham or a Shemite just in general. So let me get some examples of that. So it isn't just, oh, yeah, I ain't just making that up. Let me see. So can you get Genesis 8 and 20 for me, Ak? And I'm gonna deal with the last thing he said, and I'm gonna keep it pushing with him. So he says the problem of bros are forgetting that there are multiple Hebrew traditions, right? it says the LXX shows this. So the LXX is showing that they're wad. I don't know what that says, but what he's saying is there's multiple traditions. Those traditions stem from the Septuagint. When you see rabbis talk about it, they quote the Septuagint. I looked into that today, and I've been looking into that. They quote the Septuagint. They literally quote that. That's where these come from. Now, am I saying that there weren't traditions that preceded the Septuagint? There had to be. We are a people. All people have their traditions and sayings or oral teachings has been taught, right? But those traditions that they got about Job being an Edomite comes from that. It literally comes from that. Like, come on, bro. He's not a damn Edomite, bro. Like,
Traditions of men.
It's just a tradition of men. So can you read this for me? Genesis 8 and 20.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 8 and verse 20. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord and took some of every clean animal and some of every clean bird and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And when the Lord smelled the pleasing aroma, the Lord said in his heart, I will never again curse the ground because of man, for the intention of man's heart is evil from his youth. Mm-hmm. Neither will I ever again strike down every living creature as I have done, while the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease.
So that's one Shemite, right? Giving a burnt offering, and the Lord accepts it. It's not accounted as blood guilt to him. Let's look at another one. Read this right here. Start at verse 13.
22:13.
Yeah.
All right, this is the book of Genesis, chapter 22 and verse 13. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him was a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up as a burnt offering instead of his son. So Abraham called the name of that place, the Lord will provide, as it is to this day. On the mount of the Lord it shall be provided.
So the Lord provided him the animal in which to do the burnt offering with, to show that would be accepted. He gave it to him, so the Lord's not going to command anybody to transgress. So he gave that to him to give a burnt offering to him. That was accepted. You see Isaac doing the same thing. You see Jacob doing the same thing. You see various descendants of Shem, right? Various descendants of Shem who we know God was with. He was part of that chosen lineage. Descendants of Shem give burnt offerings and they were accepted. But once we see after the codified law is given, that's no more allowed. You have to follow what the Lord prescribed. But we see Job giving a sacrifice and it was accepted. So that lends credence to him being a Shemite, just like how Abraham was, just like how Isaac was, just like how Jacob was, just like how Noah. I mean, not Noah. Well, he's part of the chosen lineage, right? The chosen lineage that the Lord is dealing with. You see all throughout from Genesis 1 all the way up until Genesis 22, he's dealing with specific people, right? I almost misspoke right there. So he's a descendant of his son. No, he's part of a chosen lineage that the Lord's been dealing with, and they offer sacrifice and they're accepted of it. Job does that same thing. Let's get Romans 9 real quick. Did you get that for me, Ike?
Come on.
Why did it disappear? Oh, there it is. Let's go.
I'm going to start 11.
Yeah.
All right, this is the book of Romans, chapter 9 and verse 11. Though they were not yet born and had done nothing either good or bad, in order that God's purpose of election might continue, not because of the works, but because of him who calls. She was told, the older will serve the younger, as it is written, Jacob I loved, but Esau I hated.
So we see right here, before Esau was even born, before he could have sons, before he could have the Temanites, right? Before he can have Uz, before he can have any of his descendants, He was already pre-rejected. Now, Job, when you look at verse 1, he's perfect to the Lord. He's upright and eschews evil. Esau, from his inception, has had the spirit of Cain, who wants to kill his brother. That's passed on to his descendants, because we see what his descendants do. You saw how they cheered on Babylon when they were destroying us. That passed on to them. That same type of characteristic was not on Job. He's called a perfect person, a perfect man, a shooty. Look at this. Let me show you something. It says there was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was blameless and upright. Blameless and upright. These are characteristics you do not see for Edom. And that's important because Edom's characteristics was given to them prior to their incarnation. Prior to Esau existing, he was rejected. That's why the Lord already told their parent Isaac and not really Isaac, Isaac's mother, that he would be the one to get the blessing. Jacob, he would be the one to get the blessing. And the elder Esau will serve the younger. That was already put in place before they were even born. So their lots, their behaviors and attributes was already given to them prior to them even existing. So if Job is supposed to be an Edomite, why do we see him automatically just be a complete outlier to Esau's character? That's what I have to believe now. That's what you want with? I'm not going to believe that. They came pre-rejected. Then on top of that, now when we leave that, let me show something. Isaiah 34. Now, after we see that, we see nothing after Esau and Jacob's been born. Then we migrate to the prophecies. We see nothing but the Lord saying he's going to destroy the Edomites. Look at this. Matter of fact, no, let's not start. Let's start at Obadiah. Not Obadiah. Let's start at Malachi 1. Can you read this from me?
This is the book of Malachi 1 and verse 2.
Yes,
it say, I have loved you, says the Lord, but you say, how have you loved us? Is not Esau Jacob's brother, declares the Lord? Yet I have loved Jacob, but Esau I have hated. I have laid waste his hill country and left his heritage to jackals of the desert. If Edom says we are shattered, but we will rebuild the ruins, the Lord of hosts says, they may build, but I will tear down, and they will be called the wicked country and the people with whom the Lord is angry forever.
And you know why it's angry forever? Because the Lord doesn't change. When the Lord shows an attribute of his character and a propensity, that's who he is. This hating thing that he did of Esau, we see according to Paul in Romans chapter 9, and honestly, just reading Genesis with eyes that you already know what's going to happen from Jacob's mom being pregnant all the way throughout history with Jacob and Esau, you can kind of tell that Paul's right on the money with that, about how Jacob's elected and then Esau's hated, and how that was already predestinated. You can just tell that. So that happened before they were born. Now, if we see right here in verse 3, the Lord hates Esau, and that was before he was born. And in verse 4, he puts a stamp on it and says, I hate them forever. How then is Job now an Edomite that the Lord now loves, who is now blameless and upright? That doesn't work with predestination. That is a problem. That is a massive problem. Now Job is an outlier. Forget all the rest of the rules that are established, how he already predestined to hate these people and predestinated to destroy them and predestinated to be angry with them forever. Now here's an Edomite who the Lord loves and is arguing with Satan to prove that he's the righteous one. Like, no, bro. Like, no, bro. We're not going for it. We're not going for it. Here comes fact over interpretation. So when you see right there, because I think he believes he's loved them less. Instead of oh, he doesn't hate them, he just loves them less. When you look at this right here, I want to show something. Let's see what that means. It's just to be hateful, to hate a man of God, a hater, one hating, an enemy.
Less love.
Less loving.
Tough
enemy. Of persons, of nations, of a God, of wisdom. Odious, utterly. That he didn't love him less, bro. We're not doing that. The covenantal choice thing. You can do that. You can do that with Romans, because you can tell that Paul's talking about like election versus rejection. But the prophecy he's quoting is the Lord literally hating them. So yeah, you can pull that with Romans. You're not pulling that with Malachi 1 verses 4. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. Right? So now, this is another strike against Esau or Job being an Edomite. If the Lord loves Job, he's perfect. He literally calls him perfect, whole and complete, perfect, blameless, right? Why does the Lord already predestinate to hate the Edomites? And Job still is an Edomite. How does that then work? That's silly. Now, secondly, let's say he is an Edomite, right? Then where does he fit in with the prophecies about Edom? Could you read this in verse 5?
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 34 and verse 5. For my sword has drunk its fill in the heavens. Behold, it descends for judgment upon Edom, upon the people I have devoted to destruction.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord has...
The Edom has devoted them for destruction. When did he do that? Because I will tell you this, and this is the way you cut Trinitarians. The Lord is not subject to time. So that was always his original plan. So you're telling me Esau, I keep calling him Job, the Edomite, the Lord said he was perfect and eschewed evil and was a great man. But the Lord, before any of them even existed, devoted Edom to be destroyed? That sounds plausible to you? I think not, bro. I think not. I absolutely think not, right? Now, another thing, because this dude said, like, it's talking about a love and hate and a covenantal choice. Now, I want to show something back in Romans. I've been waiting for a Christian to say that to me on the streets for a while, because I've been knowing that breakdown for a minute, where Christians say where it means in Romans 9 and 13, it means he just loved them less. Like, meaning Jacob got the covenant and he loved Jacob more than he loved Esau, but he still loved Esau. I've been waiting for them to say that. So when you read verse 11, it says, though they were not yet born and had done nothing either good or bad, in order that God's purpose of election might continue. So he elected Jacob and then rejected Esau. That's important to know, because if you're saying he just loved them less, that doesn't mean they can't be saved. When you scroll down, can you read this for me out? Start at verse, let me see. 19.
This is Romans chapter 9 and verse 19. You will say to me then, why does he still find fault? For who can resist his will? But who are you, oh man, to answer back to God? What is molded say to his molder, why have you made me like this? Mm-hmm. Has the potter no right over the clay to make out of the same lump one vessel for honorable use?
Vessel for honorable use. The chosen, the elected. We know that's Jacob in context. Keep going.
And another for dishonorable use.
For dishonorable use. That's Esau in context. Read verse 22.
What if God, desiring to show his wrath and to make known his power, has endured with much patience vessels of wrath prepared for destruction?
So if you want to say it means they love him less, when you continue to read down to verse 22, these vessels of dishonor, the unelected, Edom, they're prepared for destruction. So they're going to see destruction in the same fashion as in Isaiah 34. The Lord devoted Edom for destruction. But Job is an Edomite? One of the most righteous men that ever exist on the planet? Outside of Christ? Outside of Abraham? Outside of Noah? I don't know about that. It's seeming kind of bullshit to me. Like I'm being honest, bro. I'm being honest. I've been waiting for a Christian to do that so we can go there and then they have to answer some questions they're not prepared to answer. But let's get another one. Where do we want to go? Let's go to Joel. Let's go to Joel 9. Not 9, Joel 3 and 19.
This is the book of Joel, chapter 3 and verse 19. Egypt shall become a desolation, and Edom a desolate wilderness, for the violence done to the people of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land.
Mm-hmm. And that's what the Edomites have always done. The Edomites have always done violence against Judah. That's been their propensity since we've known them, since their father who wanted to kill Jacob, when he even said it literally in Genesis, and then his children, the damn dukes of Edom, right? The dukes of Esau, the damn dukes of Hazard, the lineage of evil, right? We've seen what they've done, and we've seen what they do to us today. So the Lord's going to make them a perpetual wilderness and a perpetual destruction. So I say all that to say this. The evidence to say Job is an Edomite is insufficient. Whatever they added to the Septuagint is insufficient. Why? There are no manuscripts to support what they're quoting. Aristeas the plagiarizer, read the Septuagint and quoted the same thing. So he's not a secondary witness. He just read it and said it. And Alexander, the polyhistor, wrote down what he said, and Eusebius wrote down what he said when he wrote down what the other person said. That is not sufficient enough evidence. Job's friend, one of his friends being an Edomite, and one of them being a son of Abraham, and another one we don't know what he is not sufficient enough evidence to say Job is an Edomite. In fact, the fact that it names their nationality and not his kind of lends more to the ideology that he's not an Edomite. Then, when you look at the propensity of the father, how he rejected Esau before he even existed, when you look at that, or how he rejected him before he even existed and already prepared him for destruction, like the prophecy says, multiple places at this point, like we're at one right now, it doesn't make sense that now he would create an Edomite who would be one of the holiest men on the earth, who survived a whole bunch of BS that happened to him, be called perfect, eschew evil, and just live as a complete outlier to what the Lord has done, said, and made happen on earth. That makes no sense that Job is a righteous Edomite king. When you add all of that up, it lends more to him being a son of Abraham through one of the various sons that he has, or just a Shemite, because we know God passes through that lineage. And those people have given offerings and sacrifices, which the Lord has accepted prior to Levitical priesthood being set up. That makes more sense than what y'all niggas is saying. So when you want to say something like, do y'all niggas know more than the translators in that aspect? I would say yeah.
Yeah, bro.
At that point, I would say yeah.
Because who's committed the oracles of God, man? Get out of here.
The Jews. You know what I'm saying? The Bears. I'm saying the Jews. Right? But with that, we can wrap it up. But we can, because I'm at that point, I have really more verses, but it's just belaboring the point. It's just the same thing. Edom is always pictured to be an antagonist throughout the Bible. from their inception. The first thing we hear about Esau doing is fighting his brother in the womb. That's the first line we see Esau in the Bible, fighting his brother in the womb.
And he didn't even honor his mother and his father because what was it? They were told not to take a Canaanite wife, and then he took Canaanite wives.
The first
and
thing
basically
he did.
vexed his parents. So
Yeah.
I ain't never seen. It's one of the commandments. You honor your mother and father, and then your days be prolonged. He immediately went against it. So come on, man. Like, let's get to the bread and the butter and stop conflating ideas.
Yeah, it's just wild that it's wild that, like, because when I sat down to go and try to figure this out, I was like, I know it's gonna be dumb, but I didn't think it was as dumb as it was.
Yeah.
I did not think, because I was watching certain Hebrew Israelites who lean towards he's an Edomite just read the Septuagint and just say that without critiquing anything. And I've seen people like Straightway Ministries. I've seen random Christians on the internet saying it, and I looked into it. It's just bullshit. It is, bro. It just is. It just is, bro. But yeah, man, like the video. If you like, there was 100 people in here at one point, like the video. I should have 100 likes. Well, maybe less than that, because a lot of y'all Christians just come in here and just get a breakdown and then go back to y'all's channel and start sounding eerily similar to y'all diet. Right? And sometimes your lessons, like, and look at Kasab. Some Christians be watching me, and then I'll teach a lesson like this, and then like the next week they'll have a lesson. Well, Job is an Edomite. I'll teach a lesson. Well, the Gentiles aren't going to get saved out of Babylon. You'll see the next week. Are the Gentiles going to be saved out of Babylon?
Right.
I see it so many times that I just laugh, bro. I see it in shorts. I see it in videos. And you know what? I appreciate it. I'm glad I can affect your life to where you can go out there and just play your role in being an agent of Satan. I'm happy I can keep you employed.
Right.
Because one thing we like over here in Masada is gainful employment. I'm an asshole. But yeah, like the video, man. Leave a comment on here. Job is an Edomite. Y'all think y'all know more than the people who put together the Septuagint? Right? What else? Share the video. To your long lost Hebrew Israelite brother who's stuck in that Christian cult, or that cage of thinking one of the most holy men to ever exist was an Edomite. You got to get him out of that. You got to rattle that cage up. Just send that share, like, hit the share button, send it to him, and just rattle that cage up. Just do that, man. And like I was saying earlier, people who want to join the channel, it gives you exclusive rights to see some of the content that we have, and also be a part of the Masada Rebellion chat where we're starting Torah. Probably gonna be months. We're doing the Torah, right? We got to go through all that. We're gonna be teaching out of there. We're gonna be doing a lot of different things. Also, be on the lookout for another way of camp we're gonna be doing. We're gonna be changing stuff up around here, man. So with that, I'm gonna say call hello. Oh, actually, Kasab, you got something you want to say?
Yeah, I want to add a precept. This is Deuteronomy 32, verse 8 through 9. It say, when the Most High gave to the nations their inheritance, when he divided mankind, he fixed the borders of the people according to the number of the sons of God. But the Lord's portion is his people, Jacob, his allotted heritage. And I brought that out so people understand that, yeah, the Most High chose his people. Nobody can get in between what he chose. We understand that other nations exist. They have their own allotted portions outside of the kingdom of heaven, and we will be utilizing them to rebuild the kingdom of heaven, Lord willing, in the near future. But at the end of the day, man, pray for your brothers and sisters, regardless of how y'all feel about us. And the lesson for today, we hope that we edified y'all. But at the end of the day, man, pray for your brother, pray for your sister, pray for the nation, man, because that's ultimately what it's all about. Like, we do some of this stuff in fun. Some people get offended, but it is what it is, bro. Like, we don't try to be offensive. We just being ourselves. We not robotic Christians and everything is supposed to be one way. Nah, we all different parts of the same body. And y'all need to understand that, bro. But that's all I got, man. Pray for each other. Fast and pray, man. Fast and pray.
God. But with that was good too. That was great too. Fast and pray. Paul says in 1 Thessalonians 5, man, pray without ceasing. Ceasing means to stop.
Right.
Keep praying. That's all we got over here in America when we're stuck in the captivity and having to deal with dummies in the comment section telling us to go to Faithful to God channel. I'm not going there. I don't care about Faithful to God. He debates dummies all day and he gets a following off of that. Congratulations. But gainful employment.
Right.
But me being serious, I'm very unserious. But pray for your brothers and sisters, bro. Especially me, especially Kasab, especially Masad out here. We need it, right? But with that, I'm gonna say, call hello Yahweh, Ba Shem Mashiach Yahweh Shai, Shalom.
Shalom.